Okay, you are watching 15 Minutes with Marcus. I am here with one of Kentucky's finest state representatives, Kelly Flood. She's a social advocate for change, and people collectively like her and they appreciate her. And I like her and appreciate her too, which is one of the reasons why I came to Kentucky to go ahead and do an interview with her, along with all the representatives that I work with in Illinois. Representative Flood, please tell the people about yourself.
Thank you, Marcus. My name is Kelly Flood. I'm a 60-year-old state representative, been serving now for 6 terms, and have been a Democrat the entire time. In Kentucky, the Democrats led the House and the gubernatorial positions until about 2 elections ago, when all of that is now currently run by Republicans. And so adjusting from being in the majority party to the minority party has been one that I have been learning a lot from. I also have lived in Lexington, Kentucky for about 30 years now with my husband, Neil Chethick, who runs a community center downtown, and my son, Evan, who's employed locally. And also the thing I want you to know is I am a former parish minister with the Unitarian Universalist Church. That was my first career. And in my late 40s, I made a career change to politics. I was called to bring my work here and love this work very much. I love serving as the legislator from Lexington, District 75.
Nice. You've heard a lot from Kelly Flood. I think one of the things nationwide, I think moving the country forward and benefiting people, I think education on all levels. How do you feel about education, access to education for disenfranchised groups?
Education is my passion. It is the core focus of my work in the legislature and has been from the day I walked in. And at one point I served, when we were in the majority, I served as the chair of the appropriations subcommittee over pre-K through high school education. So I understand how the money infuses reforming efforts in Kentucky and how the lack of those dollars has come to really accentuate the impact of poverty on learning. If we don't stay up with what it means to keep education quality and free for everyone in the state, but especially quality education for people who cannot afford it,
right,
that is free, then we are failing our people. By our own very Constitution, in Kentucky, in one of the earliest editions of our Constitution, we put in a commitment to provide for a common education for all Kentuckians. And that is why we have been at the forefront for 30 years on some real reform efforts until the latest shift in administrations, when they tended to focus toward privatizing schools.
Oh, really? Now, is that a national trend or just Kentucky?
Well, it's national in that it's the charter school movement, but really when it came to town, finally to us, it had very little to do with public education's improvement and much more to do with, by the time it got here, with privatizing public education, meaning the desire to take public dollars and spend them in private schools is what the intent is behind the laws. It is because we have charter schools in Kentucky that are public schools. We've had them for 10 years because we allowed superintendents in our reform efforts to develop schools that met the needs of students, meaning all kinds of specialty schools were developed, that all designed to mitigate the impact of poverty on learning, especially all kinds of aspects of poverty.
Wow. So that doesn't seem very inclusive.
And it's a very difficult time now because Kentucky has had a strong reputation as being on the forefront of making advances in public education reform. The most difficult gap, though, still being the achievement gap around race, fundamentally. However, what we had done until about 4 or 5 years ago is we could finally in Kentucky in the last decade identify every kid who needed extra tutoring, because every kid does in the end.
Right.
Every
exactly.
kid does. But some children, because of the impact of poverty, need special layerings of some tutoring. And the frequency might be different from somebody who has economic means. Not always, but often. So those are the things we had identified. We'd come up with services, and then we had a change in administrations across the board, and they set a new direction, and we've been fighting for public dollars ever since. So I feel that there is hope. The reason why there is still some hope is we are making a big difference in the polls. Teachers and educators have really come out to the polls and made people say, in this state, we do care about education being public, and we want to make sure that we provide quality care. So they elected in the latest round many more educators to the actual state representative positions. Yeah.
That's wonderful. Yeah. Education, I'm living proof. It takes a quality education to move forward and lead a productive life. So I'm glad that you're definitely leading that fight and that charge. I know right now we're just basically talking about Kentucky politics, but actually, we all know that things that happen on the federal level trickles down, affects us on the state level
significantly,
as well as the municipal levels of government.
That's exactly right.
Freudian slip, because I was just about to talk about Donald Trump. What can we do on the state level, municipal level, and federal level to offset some of the divisiveness that has been put in place since Donald Trump has become president? It seems like we're going backwards very, very fast. And it seems like we're spiraling out of control. And even if he does not win a second term, many people feel like the damage has already been done, and some of it is irreversible. What can we do, and what do you think is the most damaging effect of having him as president? Because there are many damaging effects.
There are. I think we have to come back first and foremost to the earliest days of when he launched his presidency, and it was rooted in racist rhetoric that was profound to the Mexican American people, or to anybody from Latin America at first. And then, of course, next on the list were people with differing abilities whose bodies might twitch, and he mocked somebody who lived with that. And then, of course, the flat-out racist behavior toward people of color, and especially women of color, Black women in particular. Every time you see him engage a Black woman professionally in the media, he cannot cope with answering honestly to somebody who's asked them a direct question who happens to be a woman of color. So I've witnessed all of that. But truly, this is the difficult part. And I would tell you that we are going to have a profound amount of work to do. None of this is going to be easy. The cleanup is going to take a while. But I do feel personally, as somebody who's now at 60, been a very active citizen and advocate, and then a minister, and now a politician, engaged in seeing reform happen. My son would critique and say that has been profoundly incremental. I think that's a great critique. And I think it's why we're ready now for a leap forward in human understanding and in race truth telling. Mm-hmm. I mean, even right here, this piece in the New York magazine, the New York Times magazine, 1619, we are finally telling ourselves the truth about who we are, that our origins did begin in 1619 when the first slave ship arrived on our shores. I believe that's true. Right. We as a nation economically began here, and we as a nation created a constitution with this reality that we never fully wrote of. And now we're at a moment, because of Donald Trump, because of everything that's been uprooted and dismantled and offended, and then really, let's get beyond offense to just rat out criminalities of behavior. Because of all of that, we're at a place now to be more honest, be more clear about how much facts and laws matter, to recognize that it was really only one president ago, President Obama, somebody who taught the law.
Right. Exactly.
Somebody who embodied law as a profound way of moving in the world, and somebody who then had moral fiber to make a case for American democracy. I cannot tell anybody right now that our American democracy is a better form of government, pure and simply because of, compared to another government at this point, because of how tarnished ours is in this moment. I do think we have the most hopeful government process to make something radically powerful happen. But I am not sure at this moment how we have the moral fortitude to pull it off.
Right, exactly. Well, everyone, you saw 15 Minutes with Marcus. We're sitting down with a state representative from Kentucky, Kelly Flood. Her ideas are remarkable, but not just remarkable, they're truthful. And with what I heard, I wish that we could spread this to the rest of the nation. I really appreciate you all tuning in. Thank you.
Thank you.